And I appreciate you, Dustin, and it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So, okay. And you hit record, Jacqueline?
I did. It is recording. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. All right. Hello, guys. My name is Dustin Ford. This is my 9th year starting to be a coach for CyberPatriot. So I'm interested to see how you guys end up going. If you could do me a favor and over in the chat, or since well, let's do it over in the chat, right? Since we're recording it. If you could let me know where you guys are from, and if you're new to CyberPatriot, or if you are returning and trying to get more information, that would be amazing. Now I can have that information, and then I can end up figuring out going from there. All right, so while you guys are working on that, I'm going to go with the concept about start with a shared screen and let you know who started CyberPatriot. So the AFA, or the Air Force Organization, started CyberPatriot. It's not the Air Force, it's the Air Force Association. They're two separate entities. So the Air Force Association, or AFA, they found that back in 2008 that there was a severe shortage of young individuals in the workforce towards cybersecurity. So what they ended up doing was they put together an initiative to be able to get younger adults interested in STEM. That way they can end up having qualified individuals whenever they go to graduate, so that way they could work in cybersecurity and other STEM related technologies. So they came out with that back in 2008, and they in 2009 is when CyberPatriot first came out. And they've been going strong ever since. The first year, they only had, I think it was 9 teams the very first year. And then last year, they had over 6,500 teams. So there's a huge growth in the 13 years that they've competed on that. Anyway, so CyberPatriot is a program to help get kids into cybersecurity, into the digital workforce, since digital is becoming everywhere now and not just at certain enterprises. So they came up with a really, really cool defensive competition. And it's very important that you know that CyberPatriot is a defensive competition only. And the kids will end up learning how to go in and secure workstations like for Windows 10, Linux workstations, whether it's Ubuntu or Debian. They also go with servers, and they learn Cisco networking to be able to secure their networks that way as well. And so I'm not going to read all the slides to you. And if you guys want, I can end up giving you all this information that I'm showing. It's also out on CyberPatriot's website, which we'll get to in a bit.
Dustin,
yeah.
If you will share that with me, I'll make sure it gets out on CTU.
Okay, awesome. Yep, I'll make sure that you have all the PDFs that I have. All right, so like I said, CyberPatriot, they came up with this, what I call a video game, which is really cool. It's as a defense competition, and the one thing that they never want to be able to hear is that this is not hacker training. Their goal is to not teach hacking. Their goal is to teach defensive countermeasures to make sure that you keep hackers out of particular competitions. And they focus heavy on cyber ethics. And every round they make for sure to emphasize that this is defensive strategy only. So so that's something very important to make sure that we note up on. CyberPatriot to help, or the AFA to help reach out, they have expanded their programs to include a bunch of other deals for elementary, middle school, We have our high school competition that we'll get into. They have cyber camps that you can end up getting into during the summer for both educators or students to try to learn more information there. And Cyber Generations is their senior initiative to be able to get senior citizens cyber aware so they don't fall for scams. So there's a lot of details on their website about that. So one of the really cool, so on CyberPatriot, I got to think about how, we got to start about what makes up CyberPatriot. How does it work out? So as instructors, you guys will end up being most likely the coach of a team. And we can get into the parts that make up a team. Actually, I think that's over here. So coaches are going to end up being the instructors, or it's going to be the soccer moms or dads, or just somebody on the side of the road that's going to end up being able to say, hey, I'm going to be responsible for these guys whenever they go to compete. Coaches do not have to be tech savvy at all. They can end up just being somebody that is providing a safe environment for the kids to be able to get together, or this year is a change to where CyberPatriot's letting kids remotely compete, so they all don't have to be in the exact same location. So they're allowing distance learning as well this year, or distance competing, I guess you could end up saying. The technical mentors are going to end up being volunteers that you can end up getting to help train your team. Team assistants are the exact same way. And then those are industry people that have been ran through background checks through CyberPatriot, and they have approved that you're not going to have any issues with them in order to be able to make sure that the kids stay safe and have a good learning experience. And then when we come down to the kids, we have, they're known as the competitors. And they're the ones that get to spend the 6 hours sitting down, trying to figure out some of the challenges that are thrown at them. So that's how the teams are made up. I don't need to go to the scoring part there. I got to figure out that. All right, so the way the competition, or CyberPatriot, it is a online competition starting out for the first 3 rounds. This year that's different. It is only 3 rounds this year. Everybody is guaranteed the 3 rounds to compete. All of yeah, I had to think about that. So with those 3 rounds, they end up splitting it up into 3 different divisions or competitions. We have our open division, our all service division, and our middle school division. So if you are a regular public school or a career tech, you end up going to go into the open division. If you're military experienced teams, junior RO, or I guess JROTC teams, can end up doing that, Civil Air Patrol. And then really cool, they've extended it to where it can go towards middle school groups as well. And you can see the percentages of last year about how many teams made up the particular competition. So those are the divisions, and most likely you guys will end up probably being an open division. That's where I end up competing at. We don't have JROTC where I'm working at, and so we end up staying towards that particular direction. So whenever CyberPatriot, you end up going up, you are given a virtual computer or mini virtual computers or virtual machines. You'll end up being able to download them ahead of time. I have a slide we'll get to a little bit on the timing of that. And then the way it works out is that whenever they power on the computer, they have a scenario thing to where they can read the README, and it will give them good information on the things that they should be doing to help try to keep the computer secure. And then most of the time, whenever it comes out, the computer's basically been simulated that somebody's gotten into it and has done several things that shouldn't have been done that way. So there will be files that shouldn't belong there, people having wrong permissions, users not having passwords, users that are, administrator accounts instead of standard accounts. And there is a lot of different deals that they'll end up doing in there to kind of end up keeping the kids engaged on it for the entire time. And they do a really great job with their scoring report to where all of that is reported to a scoreboard that you can see anywhere in the world to be able to compete with the other individuals or teams and make it like a video game on who can get the highest score in that particular time. It's a really cool thing. My students have a really good buy-in on it, and they think it's a lot of fun. Every time they figure out a flaw, there's sounds that go off, and they really, really enjoy competing in on this competition. So on the points about how we get started, let's go to there. So on how to get started, if you go out to uscyberpatriot.org, not just cyberpatriot.org, it is uscyberpatriot.org. This is their main website to where you'll go and do most of your information. And so once you get out to here, they have a lot of their latest news here. They'll have some information about how registration's open until October 15th.
Move so I could put this right here for a minute.
And then they also have, more information about down here. And if they've been highlighted in some news articles, they go that way. But to register, you'll come up here and click on register and then do our team volunteer registration. And right here, you can go through whether you're not going to worry about the cyber camp. If you're going to go for a coach registration right now, basically you can click on here and it's going to give you the download instructions on it. But realistically, what it's going to tell you is fill out this information down here. And so once you fill out the CyberPatriot volunteer registration, it will end up giving you an email to whatever email address you end up supplying. And then at that point, you verify your account and you'll be able to log in to your coach's dashboard. And the coach's dashboard is a really big deal because whenever you're going to get your team's unique IDs that you have to have for each competition period, that's the only place you can get there. So fill out your volunteer registration form right here. That's going to send you an email. Once you fill that out, it'll say, okay, now you can go in and log into the coach's dashboard. And then when you do that, you'll come up here to the competition sign in. And then when you click on that, it's going to take you, well, if I could click it, it's going to take you to this page and you'll supply your information that you have there. I'm not going to put in my information there. I'm going to show you the picture I have of that section. So once you sign in, it's going to give you this particular field right here. And then below it, oh, I don't have that. I am going to have to sign in. I apologize. I'm going to have to sign in on SD Ford. Nope, type. Never. All right, so once you sign in, you're going to get your welcome page right here. And then you're going to have to be able to create a team so that you can end up getting that getting a team started. Now, whenever you go to register a team, you're not saying that, I'm committing myself to paying $205 or $162. You're not committing to paying any of that. You're just saying, I want a placeholder to be able to possibly register a team for the year or to compete in the competition period this year. So I ended up creating this particular deal today. And so it shows that I have a waiting verification. It shows that the amount is $205. I did this after the early bird special, which if you go to the early bird special, where's that at? I think it's $165 on the early bird special, which is a really cool thing to be able to do. But I don't have that there. So back to my dashboard. So you end up having that deal. Payment doesn't have to be paid until November 15th. But having registered a team at this point, you're going to start getting emails to be able to compete in the training rounds that are going on before the actual official round. And so with that being, trying to show you where that's at, we have really good resources here. If you guys have never messed with Packet Tracer, it's an amazing networking tool. But when we go back to,
Can I interject too about the cost? If it is a Title I school, they will have their fees waived. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you are a Title I or you put together an all-girls team, here's our fees right here. So $205 for regular teams and for normal registration. It's $165 for middle school. It's $165 early bird. Or if you're a Title I all-female team or a JROTC team, you pay nothing at all. It's a free competition for you. And each team member on the team, actually, they get a T-shirt, a CyberPatriot coin. They get a bunch of swag. It's really cool. The kids love it. I think there's 5 different items that CyberPatriot ends up sending out. It's really good on that. We've put together an all-girls team before, and they made it to the semifinals. They did very well on it. It's really good to be able to have that deal, and it's not bad for what they're asking for on that. But so on the dashboard, we run into the issue that they don't have their competition schedule right here to try to see what's going on. It's a lot of just whenever you're trying to get information for your kids, you're going to end up going to here for the training, and then there are other training modules down here. But when I go back to my home page, we will look at the competition for the current competition by schedule. And here, make it bigger if it's going to let me zoom in. So,
Dustin, how many are on a team?
so there are a minimum of 2 kids allowed, up to 6 team members. So 2 to 6, and I feel like I'm missing one of my PDFs. I could be, but yeah, has to have a minimum of 2 kids, can be up to 6, no more than that. And then whenever you have your kids registered, you can move them around on your teams. If you have multiple, like if I have 10 kids, I can move them around. But whenever round 1 starts, the roster gets finalized on November 1st. So here, registration opened up on April 1st, and if you register early, you get to pay the cheaper price on it. They have practice rounds that happen through the summer that kind of goes along with their cyber camps to be able to play around with that. And then our training round, which I picked today because it actually opens up today at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And so they'll end up sending out an email to where you can have go out and do basically have practices like what a round 1 would end up being like. And I'll show you an example email of what they'll send out on that. So any of the blue ones are all practice things that with just registering as a coach, you can go out and get that information and be able to do that and not have to pay anything at all. And then they've changed it this year to where payment's actually not due until the 15th, which means you probably could compete in round 1. And then if you figure out that, oh, hey, that's something I don't want to do, then you still don't have to pay anything. They're not gonna come after you. It's just they're trying to get more people aware about cybersecurity. So all of the blue rounds are unscored practice rounds that you can end up doing. Your team competitors have to be in the roster by November 1st, if you want to coach a team, it has to be created by the 15th. And when I say created, is where you went to the coach's dashboard and created a team. And then on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'll end up being able to compete officially against people all over the world, not just in the US. It's really cool. And then if you scroll down, you can see the different rounds that they have going on, a little bit more detailed information about your competition days, that you're going to run from 9 to 3 is your allotted time, but each round you're only allowed 6 hours to get stuff done. So on our practice round, or our training round that is available as of tomorrow, what they'll end up doing is whatever email address you have registered out on CyberPatriot's website, they will send you an email that says Start X on it, and that's Start EX. And when you click on it, it'll look really familiar to this. This is one that they sent out last year for one of their, actually is this year, for their exhibition round 2. So when you're reading through here, you can scroll down and they talk a lot about their rules and that there's not any hyperlinks in here. And you'll get down to the part to where during this exhibition round, they played with a Windows 10 virtual machine and an Ubuntu 14 virtual machine. So what you can end up doing is you have to copy, because you can't click on them, you have to copy, well, you got to play around with highlighting it. Copy this, and then whenever you go up to your browser to be able to download it, you notice that mine has messed up and it didn't put the proper URL. That always happens. Whether you got to add the HTTP, or sometimes I've had it show up as just H, but you have to supply it fully out like that. And then at that point, you can end up clicking on that. And if this was still a valid image, it would start the download process for you to be able to have that virtual machine on your computer. And then you can end up being able to give that out to the students or your competitors to be able to compete on that. Nope, back to here. So, and then you would end up doing the exact same thing for the Ubuntu image. And then let's see if I get the exact same error, if it ends up messing up with the other one. Yeah, so that one again dropped out the TT. I don't know why it does that. It always does it though. So make sure that you pay attention to that, and then I'll give me access tonight too, because it's not a valid image anymore. Yeah. So, all right. So on your email that you get, that's where you're going to get the information there. They do come password protected. And a lot of the times they will have a password in there that you'd end up having to copy to be able to extract them out. I don't think that this one had a password. And so you just have to look. Normally they'll say, here's the images and then your password along with it. And then you'll end up being able to extract those to play with them inside VMware Player. And then they also have information that if you're running into any issues, they have a YouTube video that you can go out and be able to watch on, I'll see mine, that messed up again, didn't it? Yep, every time it gets me. Wait for it to load. Stop, paste. Go. That's not gonna get out of here. Nope, it's not going to take me to it. That's weird. Anyways, all right. So if you go out, I think probably I can even do a search out here for. Oh, my deal is just not working at all. Yep, we're going to chalk that up to my computer's not going to load YouTube. Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, so what you'd end up doing is you can end up downloading those. You can open the exhibition rounds the training images, any of the blue ones, you can open them up an unlimited amount of times. There's no issues. You're not going to run into conflicts. You're not going to have any problems. And it's really good practice. And they also have it to where on the desktop of the computers, they have it to where there is a answer key that will basically give you, if you're not sure what you need to be doing, then at that point you can click on that and see what the recommendations on what you might end up missing as far as if you get stuck. And the practice rounds and the training rounds are deals that I actually end up going through as well, because sometimes they change some of the things that they do, and their answer keys that they give, it will tell you, here's the flaw or the issue that's on the computer. Here's how you should fix it. And then it also says, here's why you should be able to fix that particular setting. That way, so it's not just saying, I'm teaching you how to get a point on the competition. It's saying that as security professionals going forward, these are the types of things that you need to set in order to protect against certain types of attacks on the systems. And their answer keys are amazing. If you guys have never seen them, I would highly recommend going out, registering as a coach, create a team, get that information. That way you can go out and see that stuff, even just to play around with it. It's amazing. It's an amazing deal. So and then this is the scoring report that whenever you turn on a virtual machine, you will get a web page that comes up like this. And if everything's green, then everything's good. If you have some red stuff in there, then you might have put in the wrong team ID, which you pull from your coach's dashboard. And each team has their own ID for those 6 individuals. And whenever you gain points, so it says 2 out of 6 scored security issues fixed. It'll play a sound saying, good job, you found something. It's a chime. And then whenever you lose points or you do something that you shouldn't do, like, if Bob needed to stay enabled to be able to access the computer, it does this buzzer that sounds like a nuclear raid siren that startles the kids sometimes if they have their speakers up too loud. But it's really good. It keeps them engaged on it. And so there's that. Now, the way the competition deployment works out is that, again, sample schedule on this, to where if we were going to be competing on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of that weekend, so say round 1's on the 18th, 19th, 20th, they will send a email out with the image download instructions, which is going to look kind of like this exhibition round email, except it'll say not exhibition, it'll say round 1 or training email. And then you'll be able to download those early, and then once the competition period starts or the training round starts, then they will send out the password in order to be able to extract those on competition day. And then after competition, it's a week after competition, they'll end up releasing official scores. That way, they have the 25th, 26th, and 27th. That weekend is always reserved for makeups in case there was unforeseen circumstances like natural disasters or other deals that could end up preventing teams from competing. So that's how the sample schedule ended up working out, or the competition period would end up going. And like I said, whenever you're going in competition, you can only compete in a 6-hour window on one of those days. So if you were going to have your kids compete on the 18th, that Friday, then whenever they started on that Friday, from that start time, they have 6 hours to finish everything that was given to them. They can't, work 3 hours on Friday, come back and work 3 hours on Saturday. It all has to be done on one day. And so that's something that back in like CyberPatriot 5, they would let you split it up, but in CyberPatriot 13, they don't let you do that anymore. So that's how that goes. We have our timeline, and that's an old one because it's a 3-round competition. So I guess really, other than register, I did forget that. This year, well, not this year. So whenever you guys register for an account or you create your team, I gotta zoom back out. You end up getting your email and you follow that, and then you have to go through the process of waiting for verification. Really isn't a big deal right there, but you want to make sure that you're approved before round 1 starts. But once you get registered right here, once you create that team, then on Mondays, once a week, they go through and they check on any new teams that have been created. And so for like, we have our training for our round 1 training. I think that's what they call it, right? Yeah, let's go back to here. I forget the name. Competition schedule. Yeah, so training round. So our training round starts today. So since I didn't create my team until today, after their Monday check, then at that point, I won't get my email to be able to compete for this team or to be able to practice for this team until the following Monday. And so that's something really important to note, that if you're wanting to be able to check this stuff out next week, go ahead, go out, get registered, create the team. That way, whenever they check on Monday, you'll be able to get the email to start practicing with the 2 images that they're going to end up giving you. And then whenever you have your team created on that same Monday, they will also check to see about giving you Cisco training. So that way you can get your students enrolled in the networking portion of that particular competition. And then it takes you out to Neticad's website, or Cisco's website is neticad.com. And you'll be able to go through and complete those steps to be able to have the Cisco piece as well, which is a really big thing. They give you access to 3 different books through Cisco, which is an amazing thing. And also with Cisco being a sponsor, they also let you have Packet Tracer to where the kids can take that home and play with configuring switches and routers and doing some pretty crazy stuff. So those are only checked, or that stuff's only sent out on Mondays after you've created your particular, your team. So really make sure that you go and you do that. So that's what I have. I guess really, is there any questions that you guys might have for me?
You do have a question in the chat
Okay,
from
please.
Lori. She says, my Cisco says it does not have a language attached and will not let me create it.
So I called CPOC today, and if you have any issues ever, they're really good about answering the phone number down here, your 877-885-5716. Also, you can send an email to info@uscyberpatriot.org, and I think they have a CPOC one too. But what happened is that they are still developing the Cisco course that they're going to give access to the competitors this year. And so right now, the training version is not, or the version's not out there because technically there's not any content submitted right now. They didn't give me a timeline on when they might be getting that available, but hopefully it's sooner than later because Cisco does end up playing a big role into this competition. So, it's a good question. Any other questions? You're welcome. Did I miss anything, Christy?
No, I did put in the chat box that several of you guys are going to be hosting some virtual CyberPatriot training. So if you are a new teacher and you are wanting to host a new team, that training is available and it's free. So if you would like more information, email or let me know. And Brandy, I see your name. I will add you to the list. I also wanted to say, because all of you are career tech teachers, so you are required to participate in a CTSO. So some of you will be BPA, some of you are skills. The cyber generations, and what is the thing for the children, the elementary age? I can't remember what it's called. So that stuff, he's going to get to it. That information can be used for community service. So, you know, when we are maybe one day outside of COVID where you can actually communicate with some of the older generation, maybe even in nursing homes, the cyber generation has some phenomenal resources. The cyber education literature series in the elementary school age, you could use this with your students for community service. Just a thought.
And then am I muted? I'm not. And the other part on their cyber camps, if you're just dabbling with it this year, they have cyber camps that they did virtually last summer to where you can go and try to get an introduction of what's going on and what's expected during the competition. And they have advanced camps if you have competed before and you're just wanting to try to get more information on it. But and like Christy said, we're also working on trying to get some curriculum out there into everybody's hands to help with a lot of the basics that would be really good to help you in round 1 and round 2 of the competition. Round 3, it's no longer basic, it gets pretty advanced, especially since the top 12, I guess I didn't go over that. How come I didn't go over that? So in the competition, whenever you have your rounds on the different divisions, they split it up into 3 different tiers. You have a gold tier, a silver tier, and I think platinum tier. We're not doing bronze. Yeah. So platinum, gold, and silver. The platinum teams are the ones that are going to end up being eligible to go to nationals, which is in Bethesda, Maryland, normally during spring break. And then the gold and silver teams, they still compete in all 3 rounds like everybody else. They don't have the opportunity to be able to go to nationals. And so whenever in the particular divisions, in the open division, the top 12 teams out of the competition advance on to nationals. And then out of the all service division, they take 2 teams from each group. So they get 14 teams there. And then the middle school team group, they get 3 teams to compete at nationals. And all of that is, I think, normally like that Wednesday through Sunday on spring break. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. So, is there anything else? Oh, yeah. And if you don't know, so my background, you probably can't see my background. So if you go out to CyberPatriot, they have a Facebook page. They put a lot of photos out here, a lot of information about upcoming training. And then here's their trophies that they handed out last year. The big cups are their Cisco networking cups. And then the glass down here is the individual team deals, and then the coaches medals over here. They have really great sponsorship, especially through Northrop Grumman, their presenting sponsor. They have committed millions of dollars to help with this competition. And if the kids qualify for nationals, it is a all expenses paid trip to nationals. They provide flight, hotel, baggage, food for the 4 days that you're there. It's amazing. The kids basically all they have to do is bring money for souvenirs. And it's a really cool thing, and they get to meet a lot of industry advisors there. They get to go tour Northrop Grumman's headquarters. It's fun. So CyberPatriot, I guess Chrissy was saying that there's multiple Facebook pages that are called CyberPatriot. CyberPatriot's always with capital C, capital P, one word. Their marketing department is very particular on that. And it's facebook.com/CyberPatriot gets you to the actual website or their information page. And then they'll end up posting a lot of information out there. And I haven't signed in to Facebook, so they're hounding me about that. Yeah. And then on your, on their website, not the dashboard, if you're having issues on training materials for now, under competition training materials, they have a lot, they have 12 different modules out here on how you can go through and, well, this is the archived ones. They have the modules to where you can go through and try to get your foot in the door on what they're going to end up expecting during that. I don't know why it's archived. I thought I went to, where did I find that at? Windows. Let's find Windows. Yeah. So it gives you the ideas of automatic updates is what you'll check, forensic questions. Forensic questions are normally text documents where it requires the kids to go research how to do something and then go pull information out of the computers. It's really fun. The kids have a great time with it. I'm jabbering away now, Christy. You're gonna have to stop me.
You've done a great job, Dustin. We appreciate what you shared. It looks really interesting. I'm really interested in the senior citizen section I noticed you had there. But does anybody have any questions on specific things? You can certainly unmute if you have a specific question for Dustin.
They say
I'm sure he'd let you email him as well. He's at Central Tech Drum Right. If you have questions. Anybody else have a question before we close? There, he gave you his email. Looks exciting. I know when I visited a number of years ago with Dustin, they were in Nick, they were telling me all about their trip to nationals and how exciting it was. It's awesome to be able to go on a trip with your students that's totally paid for. That doesn't happen very often. Christy, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I don't. Thanks, Dustin, for doing this.
Yes,
we
thank
appreciate
you, Dustin.
you.
Yep, thank you.
Jeff James had hoped to be here, but he had an emergency that he had to take care of. Jeff James is our Air Force Association. He's part of the Garrity chapter that sponsors our CyberPatriot teams. So once we're in person, he will be one that you will want to get to know. If you get to come to trainings on Saturdays, he's the guy that brings them pizza and donuts. So he's the one that all the kids like.
Yeah, and he was at State Leadership Conference, I believe, wasn't he, last year?
Yes.
Just before all of COVID hit, so.
Yes. He was.
Any
So
last
I
minute questions? Okay. Dustin, thank you so much for taking time to present for us. If you'll share your presentation, I'll get that out in CTU for everybody under Oklahoma Summit. We appreciate you all being here today and have a great school year.